Today we're going to be making two different skirts out of two different scarves. So let me show you the two scarves I have that we're going to work on today. Let me move this real fast. So first is this is just a giant square scarf. Can you see that? Just a square scarf, nothing special. I don't even know what this is made out of. It might actually be silk. Oh, it's polyester. My sister gave this to me and I find it hard to wear square scarves in the winter. I wear scarves in the winter. I don't wear scarves in the summer. So I wasn't wearing it, and I know my daughter would love a new skirt. She loves them. And then the other skirt I have, or the other scarf that we're going to use today, is this really pretty embroidered scarf. Look at that beautiful embroidery. And this is just a long rectangle, and it's kind of a gauzy fabric. So let me grab my cutting mat and we will get started. So we are going to start with this scarf first. So what you're going to do if you have a square scarf is you fold it into, fold it in half one way like this, and then you're going to fold it in half again. So you fold it twice into a smaller square. Here, this is where this is 4 layers. So this is a fold, and this is a fold, and this is a fold. So there's 4 layers of fabric right here in the corner. And then over here is the hems, and over here is the hems. So I'm working in the corner that has all the layers of fabric right here. Can you see that kind of well? There we go. So what I've done is, so I have a book. I have this book that I love. Oh my gosh, I'm just falling apart today. Okay, I have this book and it has a page in it where it has a list of like how to find out the radius of circle skirts. I know there's lots of circle skirt calculators online, or you can look for one. I think Sew Over It London has one. I could be wrong about that. I know there's like a circle skirt calculator online. So what you need to do is you need to find the radius for a full circle skirt for like the width of like a small waist, because this is a small scarf, so I'm making it for my daughter, and I'm doing a 16-inch waist, which when I look it up in my book, that means I need to use a radius of 2.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that right here in my corner. And my kids moved my ruler. So I'm going to mark 2.5, you know, just kind of all the way around circle. And I will mention, so my daughter's waist is probably exactly 16 inches, but when you cut a circle out of woven fabric, it stretches a lot when you cut it out because there's bias and stuff, especially really lightweight scarf fabric. And so I'm not doing anything for ease. So I'm going to cut it now. Can you see that I'm cutting? So I marked this line like this. And if I think that actually might be too small, I'm going to cut off a little bit more, because I wonder if... But what I was saying is, you don't need to add a bunch of ease for a circle skirt when you're cutting a circle out, because when you open it up, that's a pretty big circle, and if I were to pull on this, it would stretch a lot. So see how I have, this is the full scarf, and there is the circle that will fit on my daughter. And see, if I even start working on that, that is going to stretch out. So because it is a square, it's going to have a really pretty handkerchief hem. I'm not going to cut the hem into a circle. I'm just going to leave it like that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use exposed elastic. And this color doesn't match perfectly, but it's the color I have, and my daughter pretty much, she only wears pink, so I'm going to just do pink because I know that that's what she'll wear. So I'm going to cut this to 16 inches. So any elastic will work. This is a 2-inch elastic. This elastic is from Dritz, and they have a really fun, like colorful and colorful and like embroidered or like woven different colors. So I like their elastic a lot, and this is good quality. I've used it for myself. I really like it. You can use any, I would say 1 inch is probably the smallest you could use, but you can use any width besides that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this together, your two raw edges, see how those are raw edges, and you're going to put them together without twisting and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I have to get my handy scissors that I wear around my neck because I can't sew without scissors around my neck because I like to be able to trim it. So this is my seam, sewed it together, and what you're going to do next is we're going to open this seam and you're going to sew a rectangle around to make the seam allowance stay flat. So see how that's sewn flat, and here's the right side, and that is to make it so it's flat, so it's soft when it's up against someone's body. So this is the loop for the skirt, and then we're going to take this scarf and what we're going to do is we're going to divide the elastic and the scarf into 4 equal sections. So what I like to do is I fold it in half and put one on each side, one here and one here. And then I do it again with these matching in the middle, and that's the other for the other 2 sections. So see how that's 4 equal sections, and we're going to do the same thing to the circle we cut in the skirt. Talk and work at the same time. Okay, 4 sections, 4 sections, and now with the right side of the elastic, so that's the side with the seam, this is the right side, I'm going to line this up and put it, match up all the pins. So this pin of the elastic is matching up with the pin of the skirt, and I have the edge of my raw edge of the scarf with the edge of the elastic. So I pin one in, and that's what I use, and so one of the pins is extra and you can put it back. So then I go to the next section, so So I have those 4 sections, and to make it easier to sew, I stretch my elastic, and see how stretching it will make this. So I'm going to do some in the middle too, the middle of each pin, just to make it a little bit easier to sew, so I don't have to stretch the elastic as much when I sew. Okay, so next what I'm going to do, I have this pinned. I'm going to sew with a zigzag. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to line, this is the line I'm going to be using to sew. And use a zigzag because you need to, you want your elastic to stretch after, and it will help finish the edge of your scarf. The elastic. I like to have the fabric facing up because, can you see that at all? I like to have my fabric facing up so I can see if it's getting any tucks or gathers. And I will do my best to keep this hand out of the way. So, see how I'm stretching that and I'm pulling from the back also? And then I just let it guide through the machine. Just like this. And it's okay if you get maybe a tuck or two, because no one's going to look that close at your skirt. They will just be amazed that you made it. So see how I didn't pin right here? That would make it a lot easier if I would have pinned right here. So I'm going to really quickly serge this because my fabric is fraying so bad. So I'm just going to turn around real fast and do that. And after you serge it, that's it. You're done. So this is what my seam looks like. And it's just a nice, it still has a nice stretch. This is stretchy enough to get on my daughter. And look at that cute skirt with the handkerchief hem. So circle skirts are really fun for girls because they can twirl in them so easily, and this has lots of colors, so I think my daughter will really love it, and it's long enough that she can probably wear this for like a couple of years. So we're going to do one more really fast if we have time. So this is the giant embroidered scarf. It's beautiful. So this is a really gauzy fabric. See, you can kind of see me through. It's really soft, and I have sewn with one of these, and I did, like, I just folded it over like this, and I did a casing, and the fabric started to like pull apart. And so what we're going to do for this instead is we're going to do a double layer so that it's stronger. So I'm going to do, this is going to be my double layer. Here, let me show you this side. So that's 2 layers. This is a fold, and this is the 2 edges, like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, see how I have embroidery? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these, the fold and the 2 ends, so this is 4 layers of fabric. I'm going to sew this into a seam. There's no raw edges, so I don't have to worry about finishing an edge or anything like that. Like, I'm not worried about that, but I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam through those 4 layers to create a loop. I'm not too worried about how this seam will look because it will be inside, and one of my sides is longer than the other, but I think it will be a cool, once it's done you'll see that you won't really see it. So this is a giant rectangle of 4 layers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring one side up that has the embroidery and bring it down so that the finished edge of the scarf is all on the same side. So I'll show you when I get this. So this is my seam right there. The embroidery is on the outside. This is 4 layers, and all of the raw edges are down here at the bottom. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a casing. So I'm going to sew, let's see how thick. So I'm using this thick elastic, and this is 1.5 inches wide. And I'm going to sew 1 inch and 3/4 casing. So I'm just going to sew, but I'm going to leave like a 3-inch gap to insert my elastic. I need my big. So, see how I sewed that all around? That creates a casing for the elastic. This is the seam. And I'm going to insert the elastic. I like to use a giant safety pin. I don't like to use a bodkin because I feel like it's harder to use. So I've always used a safety pin, and I feel like that's the easiest. I'm going to cut my elastic to the right length. So there we go. I'm going to put on my safety pin, and I'm going to insert this real fast. And after you insert this, you're going to have to go in between the layers because the casing is right up at the top. So I'm going through here to get up here into the casing. You can't just get to it from the top. And once you insert it, once you put your elastic in, then you're done because all the other edges of the fabric are finished, which makes it really fast and really easy to just throw a skirt together. And since there's double layers, it makes this fabric, this really gauze soft fabric, it makes it strong enough to be able to withstand being gathered with elastic and stuff. Safety pin, or no, I'm going to do a pin and put this at the hem so that my elastic doesn't get lost inside the folds of the fabric. That just keeps it where I can find it and it doesn't get sucked up inside. Thing to do. So see, this is all my gathered, and I'll show you up in here. This is where my 2 elastics are in. So I'm going to overlap these. I overlap like this, and I sew a rectangle, and that's how I sew my elastic together. I overlap about a 1/2 inch. So now I'm going to flip this back down, and I'm going to pull this to get all of that elastic inside. And since this is a scarf, it's a very gathered skirt, but my daughter will love that because she loves anything like a princess skirt. So I keep this part flat, the part that has this is the thread and this is the thread. So I'm just going to finish the casing right there, and then the skirt will be done, and I can show you. And that's it. So now I'm going to stretch it like this, distribute it, and there's that skirt. And look at that gorgeous embroidery that my daughter gets to enjoy, but I didn't have to do it. and I didn't have to buy the fabric. It was just something I had. So that's it. That's how you make 2 different scarves into 2 different skirts, and they're pretty easy. It's mostly adding elastic. So thank you for watching. I'm so happy that you came.